Hey guys, welcome to Fireteam Chat. I'm Ty Guy Travis, and surprise, I'm hosting today. Destin is busy with some other stuff, so I'm taking over. And here today, I've got our usual Brian,
McClunky.
and of course Paul Tassi, our favorite returning guest.
Also McClunky.
Everybody has to say McClunky now, guys. It's absolutely mandatory.
Also,
I've got-
is this the first time in history we didn't start with an extended welcome to
Oh,
Fire
that's
Team?
true. Yeah, I need to
Did
work on
you
my
break the
Destiny.
cycle?
We got to save that for
Welcome to
Destin.
Fireteam Chat,
There you
IGN's
go.
Destiny Show.
Now
Yeah,
I feel
so
at home.
there you go. There you go.
Not quite the same, but you're getting there.
Glad I could do that for you guys.
Mhm.
So yeah, we've got lots to talk about this week. The next gen update is here. We've all had a chance to play it. It's really awesome. We can talk about that. Hawkmoon, we finally got our hands on that new gun. We have a lot of updates about the weapon reward system and transmog and stuff like that. And then also crossplay is coming, which was a huge announcement. So maybe we should just talk there first about crossplay and the fact that that was sort of dropped on us. Any initial thoughts on like how this is going to change the way you guys play or who you play with or what platforms you're on? Any of that good stuff. Let's start with that, Paul, if you've got some thoughts on crossplay.
Yeah, I mean, they've always talked about bringing in crossplay eventually, but I guess eventually it's actually going to happen this year, which is nice. And I think now that we're splitting across what 4 or 5 different console models and generations, and PC, and I guess technically Stadia. Maybe Stadia will have people to play with. That's so
That's
nice.
right.
I didn't even think of that.
That
But
one guy is gonna be very
Stadia's having
happy.
a good week. It runs Cyberpunk well. It's getting Destiny crossplay, the whole thing. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. I think it'll change it in that I will be able to run stuff with between PC and PS5, which those have been two distinctly different groups of people I play with. I normally play mostly on console with my like real life friends and people I know. But now I can just, do anyone from anywhere. And I know some people are worried about how this is going to be with matchmaking and PvP, but there's workarounds for this, and like other games have implemented systems where it's like opt-in for PC, so you're not like going to be going against a full lobby of mouse and keyboard folks. So it just seems like the natural progression of cross save, and like cross save is one of the best things they've done by itself in the past couple of years. And other games, I'm really hurting for cross save across
Yes.
both the other games I play. So crossplay and cross save, that's exactly where they need to be.
Agreed. Yeah, Brian, any thoughts?
Console players finally are gonna get a taste of what it's like to go up against cheaters in trials. No, uh, on the other end of that, it'll be nice because if it's, I mean, obviously there might be an opt-in system like Paul was just alluding to, but being able to increase that player count in trials or any other game modes, and like not having to always, I mean, there's going to be cheaters, there's always going to be cheaters, but increasing that player pool, where it's less likely that you might come across cheaters will be nice, since there's a whole heck of a lot less of them on console than there is on PC, which is where most of us, I think, main the game. I think not you, Travis. I'm not sure, but yeah, no, that'll be I think it'll be nice. It'll definitely bring back a lot of me being able to play with a bunch of people that I haven't played in a long time since I've made the jump to PC. Because it happens when like new platforms come out, people don't make an upgrade or they don't jump to a different platform where everybody else is going. So some people just kind of get left behind. So it'll be nice to be able to play with some people that I haven't played with in a long time.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat as you guys. Like this excites me more than it worries me. Obviously, there's stuff I am worried about. I've, as you guys know, gone through great lengths to avoid playing Crucible on PC because of the cheaters that are there. But for me, it's like I've had to choose between performance and playing with the people that I like. Like my clan is all on Xbox, and I've sort of just been like, or sometimes I'll play on Xbox and I'll go over to the clan tab and I see that like I'm the only person in the clan according to the clan tab on Xbox because my entire clan plays on PC, and so it'll be nice to kind of see those guys and I can play where I want to play. And they can play where they want to play, right? And the other thing that is exciting about this is now with the next gen update here, the gap in performance has closed significantly. The gap in loading times has closed significantly. I do have some worry about people who are playing on the original Xbox and on the original PS4, and I'm wondering how long those builds of Destiny 2 are going to sort of be doable in this new environment before they're just basically playing a different game. Because if you guys remember, the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of Destiny, they were segmented. They were in a separate sphere. We're not able to play with the next gen audience. So I'm wondering how long it
Oh
takes for
yeah,
that to happen.
because when
Yeah.
Rise of Iron came out, they took it away from the platform, right? They
It,
just said,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
I'm not.
They totally killed that version. Yeah.
it
Yeah,
doesn't feel as severe though, I don't think, as it does back then. I think there's going to be a little bit easier of a transition period. Like even with the next gen update, like the game is now loading faster even on last gen consoles. Like after this update and all the crap they removed, and like maybe that was with Beyond Light, like I don't know, whatever they did where you had to re-download the whole game.
Yeah.
Like that version of it is now loading faster than the old one. So like obviously, they're losing on frames and FOV and all this other stuff now, but I don't think the gap is going to be as wide. Eventually, they'll leave it behind. I don't know if that'll for sure be next fall or the fall after, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like as drastic as last gen.
I can see them
Yeah.
leaving it behind with Lightfall. I can see that happening, assuming that like post Lightfall, they want to continue Destiny. I imagine they will, but yeah, I could see PS4 and Xbox One getting left behind at some point, right? It's gonna happen organically with most developers at some point, where
Some
enough
games
people
are leaving them behind as we speak.
exactly right. So it's like it's gonna happen, right? It's
Yeah.
just a natural progression. It's always happened. It's happened before. It's gonna happen again, and I don't particularly think anybody will be upset about it, just because like it's just a natural cadence of how tech goes. So yeah.
Yep, totally. So yeah, kind of the natural transition now is talking about the next gen update, which is here. That came this week, and I mean, I've spent all my time. Let's just say this: I logged on to the Xbox version of Destiny, and I haven't played the PC version since. So obviously, I'm really enjoying it. What about your guys' thoughts on this so far?
Yeah, it's way better than I even anticipated. Like I have been playing on PC, and I mostly converted to PC because it was just too hard to go back to lower performance after doing that, unless I absolutely had to. So I mean, now that you have the load times, the frames, and FOV, that's like 90% of why I like playing PC.
Mhm.
And you can go back and forth of like, mouse accuracy versus controller accuracy and whatever, but generally speaking, like I did what you did. I have not played significantly on PC pretty much at all since the next gen up game came out, and I have only been playing on PS5. And it's funny to watch because like we've all played probably the best version of it at some point on PC and have gotten used to this. But I have friends that have been playing on, base PS4 and have never touched PC because they just don't have gaming PCs like most people don't, and they're blown away. Like it is a totally transformed game for them, like they have never experienced before. Like I remember, seeing the frames and stuff for the first time and feeling the FOV like speed effects it gives you for the first time on PC, and like to see that replicated across Series X and PS5 now is really cool. And I think it's going to dramatically improve the health of the game. And it's even just playing around in the menus feels better. Like it is better in every possible way. And I think they really knocked it out of the park.
Agreed, Brian. Any thoughts? As a PC
as a
main,
PC snob, no. But I actually genuinely forgot how crucial and beneficial the FOV slider was, because I've been playing on PC for so long and had it cranked all the way up for as to 105 for as long as I can remember. And then I went to go play it, just check it out on console. It's when you load it up, it's at 75 base, I think. And then I just cranked it up to 75 and immediately see the benefits. And you're just like, man, this is crazy. Like, I can't imagine what is going through the minds of people who have been playing like that for so long and then finally making the jump to these consoles and seeing it play like that. It's kind of wild. But I mean, I'm still maining it on PC, and I probably will, just because I have trouble going back to controller personally. It's just like it's an aiming thing. I'm sure I could get used to it if I really wanted to go back to it. It's just like I feel like I am detrimental when I'm playing with a controller, just because I'm so used to the mouse and keyboard. But yeah, man, just being able to have those frames, the FOV slider, and how cool it is that they've added 120 hertz support for
Yes.
Crucible is going to be huge for people who think they might be at a disadvantage against people in Crucible who are playing on PC. Because I don't think because I know people who play on PC but still use controller and are like light years ahead of me in skill wise. So it's like I don't see that being a major problem at all.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. As you guys know, I'm a Crucible main, so 120 hertz on my TV, and also I have a Series S that I use as like for a second monitor and in like a portable gaming setup. And I've just been
That's
playing
why you're rich.
Crucible. Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a second monitor. Who
It's a
cares?
secondary.
Softer in
Well,
the corner.
sometimes you want to play couch co-op. A lot of games don't support it, so you need two Xboxes, two screens.
Right
No,
off,
no, no.
fair job.
Yeah, exactly. He gets it. Yeah, so yeah, I've been sort of playing Crucible like on my second screen while I'm watching a show or whatever, and it's like it's great, man. It feels really good to be competitive on console again, and yeah, I'm really excited. Honestly, I look forward to playing with PC players because I feel like I can compete with them with a controller. I'll take you, Brian, on mouse and keyboard any day because I know you're not that confident in your Crucible skills, but I'm interested in playing some PC sweaties as long as they aren't cheaters. So yeah, the next gen update has been. I did the raid today, which doing the raid on Xbox and then doing it on Xbox after the next gen update is like night and day. And what I kept saying to my group is like, wow, I don't feel like embarrassed to play this game right now because it sort of was embarrassing playing Destiny 2 on your new Xbox Series X when it just looked like, an old previous gen game. And
Yeah.
now I can play Destiny 2 and be like, yeah, see, this is why I bought the Series X. Look how nice it looks. So
That is literally what I'm doing after this. Is about to do a 60 frame PS5 raid for the first time, so I'm excited.
awesome. Yeah, it honestly, like I did the raid the first time on PC, so I kind of already knew what it looked like. But everybody else on my part in the party only plays on Xbox, so they were just like blown away because we did it the night that the next gen update came out, and everybody was just like, "Wow, this is insane!" So it was really cool to see kind of just the community's reaction to that. And I'm looking forward to doing the raid again with that team next week. So yeah, next gen updates here. We're all enjoying it. Sounds like the next thing coming down the pipe for us in the Destiny community is the Dawning, which is supposed to start on Tuesday of next week. I think it's going for about a month again, and based on early looks at the triumphs and Destiny marketing material, it looks like we're going to be baking cookies again. Any thoughts on the Dawning or the rewards that they showed? I did see that this year they did a Hanukkah candle, so good on them. A Hanukkah candle ghost. Did you guys see that?
I did
Oh,
not see that.
that's okay. No, I
Wait,
saw
how
the
does that?
candle. I didn't get that it was Hanukkah. That makes sense now, though.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, so hold on.
Represent.
How is the ghost? Sorry, what about one candle makes it like Hanukkah?
I think it's a blue flame. It's like
Okay, so okay,
yeah,
that's neat.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know that. Yeah, so that's cool. I like that.
yeah. So I saw that. So represent for the Hanukkah celebrators out there. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts of the event? And I know we've all done it every year and are kind of just like worn out on it by now.
I
Is
just
probably the
imagine.
consensus.
It always
But
has the best armor, I think, for seasonal armor, and this round looks pretty solid too. I'm curious to check it out with different shaders and stuff because I never really liked the Dawning shaders, but what they've shown off looks cool. And we have a new gun, which is something. I mean, it's a rental, but it's kind of different, so that's something new. I don't really know. They showed a lot of snowball throwing in the previews. Snowball strikes aren't coming back, are they? I feel like they would have announced that, but I've always been wanting
Maybe
those to return. That just makes me sad we never got those again. But
snowballs
yeah,
in the open world, at random people and freezing them. It's like we can already do that. We got stasis now.
yeah.
Um,
And there's at least a couple cosmetic rewards I think you can earn. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's Dawning's a little lower key than most because except for snowball strikes, there's not usually a dedicated activity to go along with it. So it's mostly about whatever the one weapon is and then some cosmetics. But I'm curious to see what I could probably look them up already, but the roles on the fusion are going to be and if you can farm that or whatever the deal is going to be there.
yeah, I'm interested in that as well. This has sort of been like you said, Paul. There's no dedicated activity to this, so this is always the event that when it comes around, I'm most confused about what I'm supposed to be doing to do the event. It's kind of like just do anything you want, right? Like you can, which I'm a fan of player choice and that sort of thing, but it is kind of a bummer that it's sort of just about rewards, right? It's about getting stuff from Eververse and getting some of the new gadgets, but I'm always kind of lost at like what am I supposed to be doing? And if snowball strikes are coming back, that would be huge. My idea for this event is they should just put a skin on stasis for the duration of the event where it's like full snow themed, or take away like the cosmic crystal and just make it like Winter Wonderland themed.
Like
I think,
sparkly and stuff. Yeah, that'd be
yeah, and
funny.
fluffy, and like you're throwing snowballs when you use the Warlock super instead of ice crystals, stuff like that. That would be dope. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Brian?
When I saw that trailer, I immediately had no thoughts because it just obviously looked exactly like what we've been playing for the past couple of years.
Well, it's
Um,
dawning again.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But the one thing that I just thought about was the fact that this will be the first dawning in a while where we don't have a seasonal piece of content that came out just around the time of December, because usually when there's an expansion, it's September, and that's followed up by the next season's in December usually. So this year, obviously with Beyond Life's delay, that means the seasons got delayed. The next season got delayed to February, so it's going to be interesting to see how the dawning works out on its own without having any sort of like actual new content behind it. So it might get stale faster.
Yeah, they've got to have some creative use for Europa, right? We finally have a snow planet for the dawning. There's got to be
Yeah,
something
you
there.
would imagine that.
Yeah, there's got to be something going on there. So I'll be
Very,
Maybe they
very
were
excited.
cool.
saving the Europa Crucible map as a dawning present to the community.
that'd be
And
nice.
that's
Yeah,
where
we
it's
didn't
been
get
this
one.
whole time. Yeah.
Europa snow-based Crucible map. Yeah, I really my hope is that they're. Yeah,
Yes.
right. Yeah, Gambit is in bad need of other maps. I would be happy if there was anything new at this point, because kind of like what we were talking about when the Festival of the Lost happened, these events have sort of become like just clones every year. We know exactly what we're going to be doing, no surprises, no new content. And I think that's their weakest point, is it's like you get a few cosmetics, maybe one or two weapons, and there's no new activities or surprises. And I remember when they were still figuring out what these events were going to be, every year we were kind of like, all right, how are they going to shake it up this year? Like, what is the dawning actually going to look like this year? And I feel like since they sort of found their flow, they've just been kind of repeating it every year. So I hope there's some surprise out there, but I honestly don't have a lot of confidence. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of
I mean,
expecting
given the delay we had for Beyond Light and like given the positioning and all the other content, like I have to believe Dawning was like 10th on the priority list. So
if
like, all right,
that,
do the armor
yeah.
sets, give them a fusion rifle and bake some cookies like that,
I think we all know what we're in for, and
Yeah.
no one's going to be disappointed, and no one's going to be surprised.
I'm excited for the touching crow dialogue when we give him Christmas cookies or Dawning
Oh
cookies.
yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, speaking of the crow, we got to spend some time with him this week, gathering Hawkmoon, which was a fan favorite back in Destiny 1. For those of you who never had the weapon, if you were an Xbox player like me and you got it long after it was nerfed, or you just never acquired it, it's a gun that back in the Destiny days, it had a chance of one round in the chamber was basically a one-hit kill. It was a super powered bullet. And now with this new Hawkmoon, it is the last round in the chamber. So it's a bullet that we know is coming, which is kind of an interesting way. It's not a one hit kill. I tried it in Crucible. It gets close, but it doesn't kill somebody in a single shot.
Yeah, there was full stack.
You can get it. It's like very
Yeah.
situational. If you get full stack, and I think someone with low enough resilience or something, you can do one hit.
Oh, there you go.
But
Yeah, so must have
Very
just chosen.
rare circumstances for most people.
Has to be low resilience. Have to be a full stack of interesting. Okay, yeah, I'll need to play around with that more. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the weapon and also the quest line that kind of got us there? Because that was I think more content than we're used to, more story content relating to a new exotic acquisition. So, Brian, you got thoughts?
Yeah, immediately I talk about, like, I love the quest. The quest was actually fun. The new environment was great, like jumping through all that EDZ area that we've never seen before. At least I can't remember a time where we've had any of that location in Destiny 2. But I wanted to talk about the narrative design of the quest. I thought I didn't expect more of it, but when you go to talk to Crow for the first time, he asks you to go with him on this quest. And I'm like, oh, cool, we're going to do a mission with the Crow. We're going to get to go on a mission with him. And then you get there, and then you don't see him throughout the entirety of the quest, right? He's like, I'm going to guard the entrance. And like,
Yeah.
all right. But, I didn't expect him to be running and doing all this jumping and platforming with you. But the fact that he didn't show up at all during the entire quest kind of bummed me out, just because off of the note of him saying, I would like you to come with me. to see what these visions are, to make sense of it. So like that he didn't have any physical like involvement in the quest kind of bummed me out a bit. But otherwise,
Yeah.
outside of that, I felt like the quest was really cool. The level design was cool, and the narratives were cool too as well.
Let's talk about that a bit. The lack of like playing with characters, because I feel like this is sort of like an unspoken promise of Destiny 2 that we were going to be fighting with other Guardians, just based on the first few missions in Destiny 2 story. You're having Zavala shield you, and we got a little bit of it with Saint 14 and stuff like that. And I feel like it's never really been realized, which is kind of confusing to me, because I feel like we got to see Akora Nova warp one ship and kill a few Cabal, but we never actually
Shaxx
really.
opened the door for you.
Shaxx opened the door for you. That
After
happened.
stealing our raise lighter, yes.
Yeah, and then the closest we've gotten since is the Lost Sector, where there's those robots running around and shooting for you, which is really cool. But I feel like they really need to do a better job of like making like NPCs, ally NPCs in the game. It's such a weird thing that Destiny hasn't tackled yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 7 years or whatever, and I mean, they still don't have a friendly AI. Like, that just doesn't exist. Like, you have seen the advancement of how far we've come with friendly AI, which is the frames that walk in like a straight line to a determined path and shoot something. So it's either that or it's like pre-rendered cutscenes, like in the first D2 mission with them doing their own thing, or in Forsaken where Cade's like golden gunning a knight on a bridge up there. To me, that was like almost good enough, and like I would rather have maybe more of those scenes than have them spend so much time working on a very complex friendly AI, because the game is almost always meant to be played with Fireteam. And sure, if that mission is any indication, and things we've heard, we're probably going to be farming that mission for Hawkmoon roles, so with a Fireteam in the future. So Uldren being like literally in that mission may not have been the best thing, but again, like they never do it with any mission. I remember the promise of D2 also, where they're like, oh, NPCs are going to be in the world, and they didn't say it was going to be standing in one place as a vendor for 3 years.
Yep.
Like that's not really what I would not what I would consider out in the world.
They highlighted the sniper in the cathedral in EDZ, and I think he does actually shoot things, but that's like such a limited use case. It's kind of weird.
Or at least you hear him attempting to shoot things. But I will say, to switch back to be more positive, I love this quest. Short of something that's a full 0 hour like exotic quest, like this is exactly the kind of thing I wanted to see out of an exotic quest. It wasn't too grindy. They did do a good amount of work putting in 2 new sections in. There was the EDZ dam section, and then there's the part in the Lost Sector where they just built a whole secret thing in the back of it that you run. And that is significantly more than I thought they would. And then it's great from a story component. Like there's the part where you find the Crow's little secret room with his bungee sleeping bag and toilet and all that stuff. And
then you just
like 10 minutes.
It and just,
he spends like 10 minutes talking to you about his life and stuff, and it's very good integration of story and lore. And then there's good lore at the very end, where if you read the Hawkmoon lore, it's literally Savathun spying on the two of you, like having a party and getting drunk together after getting Hawkmoon to like celebrate. It was just really great all around, I thought. And I have fewer thoughts on the gun. I just haven't used it that much in Crucible yet. I've transitioned over to Cyberpunk and Avengers Kate Bishop thing, so I didn't really go out and play a bunch of games with it. It does seem a little convoluted for my taste. I'd rather just shoot things with like Ace or Thorn and not have to worry about how many stacks I'm at for things and calculating if this is going to be a 1-shot or a 2-shot or whatever. But I know some like avid PvP people do really like it, so it seems good, I think.
Yeah, I guess time will tell. As a PvP main, my thought was that it sort of just feels like a slightly more powerful exotic hand cannon, but as you guys mentioned, I haven't really tested the stacks enough yet, or apparently not running into people with low enough resilience to get 1 shot at the very least. It has potential. I obviously liked it more when there was like a secret round in the chamber. There was a little bit of like slot machine element to it, and I think that's what a lot of people really loved in that weapon, is that it was sort of like, you're taking your chances, you're pulling that lever every time, like, is this going to be the shot that like secretly is OP? And now you kind of have to plan for it and strategize more, which again, like you kind of nailed it on the head, Paul. Like it's sort of a little bit of work. Like it feels like you've got to kind of do a little bit of abacusing in your head. You got to do a little bit of math and like planning. And I don't know that that's a compelling use of your energy when you're in the Crucible and you're staring down the barrel of a gun. So yeah, so we'll see how it shakes out. I haven't got a ton of time on it, but my initial thoughts are love the quest line, just like you guys. Haven't really been super impressed by the weapon yet, but time will tell. So yeah, that's that. And then the last thing we wanted to talk about. Oh, actually, should we talk about the leaked Crow cutscene now that we're still talking
Did
about
not
Crow
watch it.
content?
No,
You guys didn't watch it?
no,
All right, we won't talk
Yeah.
about it.
I
All
just
right.
the one reason why I'll say I didn't watch it is because not because I didn't want to spoil it ahead of time, but because it wasn't finished. When I hit
Yeah.
play on it, I saw that it wasn't a finished cutscene, so I immediately walked away from it. I was like, "No, I'll watch this when like it's done and it's ready."
Yeah. I don't know when it's coming, but I don't know. I had it spoiled for me. I didn't actually watch it, but
Got
get
it.
enough mentions on Twitter and people will tell you regardless. But
Yep.
let's hold off for now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I watched it because I'm on this show, and I figured that I kind of have to spoil myself for anything that comes up. But
And then the rest of us are like, no, Trav.
No,
yeah,
no,
the rest
no,
of you guys
bad.
didn't.
Yeah, this time I just decided to opt out. If it was a full rendered cutscene, then I might have. Just like when the Aldrin cutscene leaked back in Forsaken when he got revived, like that cutscene leaked and it was full and complete, and this one is not. So I just decided to opt out because that's not how I want to experience, narrative design in Destiny. So
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll circle back to this one. It's a full cutscene, but yeah, I thought I'd bring that up. And for fans who are listening, don't know what I'm talking about. There was a data mined cutscene for presumably the end of the season of the Hunt. You can find online, but as Brian and Paul have pointed out, like maybe wait.
What don't?
We don't get we don't get a ton of content in Destiny in off seasons, so maybe don't spoil it for yourself, so that at the end of the season you're even more complaining about how little you have. I would just say. Wait for it. I've watched it, and I think it's worth waiting for the real deal, as Brian has advocated. So do that. But if you really want to spoil yourself, you can find it online. All right, and then moving on to the last thing I want to talk about, which is the reward system update. So this is sort of a multifaceted update that talks about a few things, including Transmog and a few other items. So Brian, you want to take this one and kind of walk through what some of it is? Or we can read the TWAB if you prefer.
Yeah, I don't have the bullets to list in front of me, but I think just going off some of the things from the top of my head is that Bungie basically admitted that the loot pool in Beyond Light was too little for what we've expected, and that they've said they've gone ahead and reinforced that Witch Queen and Lightfall will have more weaponry than Shadowkeep and Beyond Light did. So that's nice. That'll be nice. And they've also told us about like next season we're going to get 6 new weapons, 2 for each of the core activities. Nightfalls are getting exclusive weapons back. They're like Palindrome, the Swarm, and something else I can't remember. I'm sure we can when we circle back to all these things we can talk about.
Shadow Price.
Yes, and then also a depth version of those Nightfall weapons in Grandmaster. So they're trying to make good on the lack of rewards and loot in the game. So I'm excited to see where they take that.
Yeah. Paul, you any thoughts about what
I'm
Brian
curious
discovered?
if that'll be strike specific loot or if it'll be like this week in whatever Nightfall the palindrome is dropping and then you can farm it. It seems more likely if there's only 3 of them, you would probably just have to rotate rather than like having a week off of nothing. I think it was obvious they sunset way too many things at once.
Yep.
I thought they should have kept pretty much all of the Shadowkeep stuff. Like that should have been included this time around. I mean, they could tell they inserted new weapons, like 2 seasons worth of weapons, like 2 weeks or something after the season came out. Like they're just, and I think they understand that like if a weapon is not sunset yet, there should be a path to get it. And I think this year, when they've realized like they're not going to get rid of all the loot, they're not getting rid of all the activities. Like so, the stuff now will probably still be able to farm either the exact same way or similarly for the entire year. So I think they kind of get that now. They were kind of committed to their philosophy by the time Beyond Light was launching, and then they kind of had to follow through with it. I was also encouraged to see that the 2 Cosmodrome strikes are coming next season, which is, I didn't know for sure when they were coming, but like we lost 7 strikes and got 2 back. So the strike playlist is rough right now. And like even though those even though those are reprise strikes, they'll be somewhat different. And from what we know with the one they brought back now, they will probably have a different narrative to them. And it might be the same boss, but it'll be like a new version in some way. So that'll be at least something. They reiterated Vault of Glass is coming this year. It has to be, I think, season 14 or 15, because if it's not coming next season, it's probably not going to come alongside the other raid in Witch Queen. So probably one of the next 2 seasons after this upcoming one.
I imagine that the raid will be like a mid thing. So season 14 makes the most sense because like that's midway between, Beyond Light and Witch Queen. So it's like, that just makes sense to give players a refresh. That way we're not grinding the hell out of Deepstone Crypt like we did Guard of Salvation for an entire year. Actually more than that since Beyond Light was delayed. So that'll be hopefully it comes in season 14 for that.
I also
reasons.
wonder if they're bringing a chunk of Venus with it. There's been these little Venus teasers in like the Moon Lost Sectors. It's appearing on the monitors, and I mean, you have to bring some chunk of Venus because the raid starts in a part of Venus, like to begin it in the first place. So they might pull a Cosmodrome where they just do a couple different zones rather than the entire area. I don't really remember how big Venus was. I think it was pretty big, but
that's Destiny. I think is
Destiny 1 terms, so
yeah,
it's hard to really remember. And then the Cosmodrome will be flushed out more, I think, next season if they're adding the strikes. So that's good. So it seems like they're adding more, probably adding more content per season than before with all this reprise stuff coming too. I hope it's not only reprise stuff. That would be a little bad. But from the sound of it, it sounds like they're, adding some pretty chunky stuff.
Yeah. The first thing they're adding in season 13 is the Lost Sectors on the Moon are going to be kind of brought into the Legendary and Master Lost Sectors, which is cool. If you guys have been like me and grinding for the helmet, which I still don't have, I've done the helmet 1250 strike like 20 times and I still don't have
really?
it.
That's rough.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the arms were even worse. I think the arms I ran like over 30 times before I got the arms to drop.
Never more than like 12. That's crazy.
I have terrible luck. Yeah.
Or no, you're probably
no. I was doing the ice mantle.
Oh, because each time a helmet and
that's too bad.
Yeah,
those are terrible.
Right. Yeah. And then I was doing the helmet. I still don't have for the Titan, so I'm still waiting to grind that out. But I even did the 1280, and that took me like 30 minutes because I'm so underpowered and I still didn't get the drop. So
I just wait for the helmet and 1250.
Yeah, I got Cloud Strike, all that stuff. So I'm feeling like I'm pretty up on the exotics. But yeah, I still have a reason to do the Lost Sectors, which says a lot.
Well, are you killing all of the
heads
champions? Are you getting platinum at the end of each Lost Sector? Like,
yes,
when your rolls up, you are getting platinum. Okay, that's pretty big. Yeah,
I've heard some people just have that luck, like 40 runs, nothing. I don't think there's bad luck protection, so it can just go on.
That's me for all of Destiny. 7 years of just terrible luck. I had like 35 runs on Anarchy. I got Anarchy finally. But I was one of those guys who was even doing Spire of Stars over 30 times because I didn't get the exotic emote. Like, and everyone I know got the exotic emote their first run. So it's like such a sometimes the luck is bad to you. But yeah, I'm still doing Lost Sector, so that's cool. It'll be nice to have the Moon ones in rotation if I'm still doing it. My question is, are they going to keep giving us reasons?
They said that there's going to be 3 new exotics that'll be in
it's not always exotic armor per season, so that's pretty big.
Yeah, so that they'll put new exotics for you to chase in those Lost Sectors. So yes, you will still be doing Lost Sectors come next season.
Because I want all those exotics, guys. And then the other thing they confirmed was, as you guys have talked about, Vault of Glass is coming back in year 4, so presumably Venus is going to be brought out of the content vault. That would be my guess, to make that work. Do you think that means we're going to get Vex Mythoclast if Vault of Glass is coming back?
Oh my god, if they didn't bring Vex Mythoclast back, what the hell?
Yeah. Or what was that hand cannon everybody loved from Vault of Glass?
Fatebringer. They kind of remade Fatebringer 1 or 2 times already, but
bringing it back as it was, like, that'd be amazing. But we'll see.
I
mean, they have to. Essentially, I don't know why they wouldn't. Like, deviating from that is not a good plan. So,
well, they did it for Hawkmoon. I mean, they brought back Hawkmoon with a different perk.
Yeah, but if you bring back Fatebringer and it's not Firefly Outlaw explosive rounds, then it's not Fatebringer, right? So it's like we have other hand cannons that can roll different rolls. So it's like, why bring Fatebringer back if you're not going to bring back the Fatebringer we remember? You know,
So you're saying they should bring back Fatebringer and not have random rolls on it. It should just be a static.
You could have
Or-
curated drops.
Bold.
Yeah.
or curated drops. Yes, I would like that too. But
A
I just
curated roll.
curated roll because that would be nice because they did that in. Well, they didn't do random rolls in for it when they brought back Vault of Glass in D1, but they made that exotic version where it still had
Depth,
the
yeah.
art. Where it was arc damage based. I doubt they'll do that again unless they make him exotic, but I hope they don't. I'd rather have a kinetic version of it and not be exotic. That's just my take, but
Yeah. And then the last thing that they talked about in the reward system is the transmog. And they actually even gave us some screenshots of how it's working currently, which obviously is still work in progress, but they kind of showed what it's looked like. I'm sure you guys had a chance to look over at this. What are your thoughts, Paul? I know you care. You play
I care
Destiny.
extremely. It's kind of funny
Yeah.
that they picked the armor set to showcase that is already ornaments, not like one that is not,
Yeah.
ornaments that you can apply to things like raid armor or something. I mean, it looks fine. I'm hoping that this comes with a shader revamp too, and I think it could, depending on how many shaders you can kind of page over to. With the current page, it does not look like they're changing the system from consumable shaders. It seems like that's sticking around. They have not talked about a dramatic overhaul for it. I don't know. Like the more I play, the better armor sets that drop. Like the more I want transmog. So that's coming in 2 seasons now. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
I think
14.
they really need to start talking about how you'll transmog things, because a while ago they seemed to suggest there would be a way to earn transmog, but it also might be a premium transaction if you wanted to skip that grind. So what is that grind? And if you skip it, how much will that cost? Like that. I can see that being a potential point of controversy if they don't handle that correctly. So
It sounds like a new currency to me, or if they do something even worse, like make it use bright dust.
Yep. That's not going to go great.
no,
Yeah, so we'll
get ahead of that now and let them know that if it was bright dust, the community will be mad.
Yeah.
How should it work? Do you guys have any suggestions of like your dream transmog system in Destiny?
Yeah, I wrote a whole article about this once upon a time where
Sure.
it was dependent on what the set was, and maybe there's only too many sets to get through at this point. But like, okay, if you want the Crucible set, it has a mini Crucible quest of requirements, like 500 Crucible kills or something that's not overly complicated, but something where you would earn it based on that activity. Or raid armor, like X amount of raid clears or X challenge in the raid, like gets you the ability to unlock this as an ornament. Planet destinations, get, clear 20 lost sector. You know what I mean? Like something tied to where that armor is from. So it's not just like spend 200,000 glimmer and, 500 bright dust or whatever it's going to be. Like I know that would be easier and more streamlined. So they might do that with just a flat currency, but I would really enjoy it more, I think, if it was earned in some way, like per sets, but we'll see.
Right. Brian, do you play Destiny at all?
I do play. Well, I want to start this by saying that as somebody who's been playing Cyberpunk for the past few days and desperately needing a transmog system, I am very excited that Destiny is finally going to give it to us. But yeah, pie in the sky. I think that if you have an item, it should just already be. You should already be able to transmog it, right? If we're looking at something like Diablo 3, like if a legendary drops in Diablo 3, it immediately unlocks that item as a transmog, and you can just apply it. You don't have to go through any lengthy grinds. So I know that Destiny is all about that. So I imagine because Bungie used that term, like we're looking into in-game efforts, quote unquote, for you to be able to unlock transmog. But my pie in the sky would just be like, hey, if you have the item, you can transmog it.
Like, you're gonna do it.
But yeah, like that's my hope. That's what I would like to see from that game, because like putting major grinds behind strictly cosmetic things is kind of weird, in my opinion.
What about minor grinds? I don't know. It just seems like something you could do
grinds are fine.
in the downtime. You know what I mean? Like where there's nothing else to do in that last month before the season ends. Like I'm gonna grind out a couple sets that I want to be transmog.
Yeah.
It just seems like a fun little like mini quest you could do to fill time, rather than something that has to be like brutally oppressive and unfun. And like in a perfect world, you could be able to auto transmog everything, but like I just can't see that happening.
I'm fine with it so long as it's not like hyper specific, right? It's not like, oh yeah, just go in Crucible and get 200 headshots with a shotgun to unlock this. You know, no, I do not want to do that. Maybe if it was a slug shotgun, but no, I don't know. Yeah, like, but like you said, if it's a minor grind, then I won't be upset about it. And so long as it's not like they create a system where it's much easier to just give them some dollars, some real dollars, and it unlocks that transmog for you. That's
the
a little
risk.
shady. Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that worries me about transmog, I don't care about transmog as much as I care about other systems. I'm a Titan. My character is constantly ugly, and I sort of wear that as a badge of honor. But the thing that worries me is that they've shown in the past that they don't really do the collection system part of Destiny right. And they still have that problem of every single item in your collections. Cool, it's there in your collections, but if Destin were here, he likes to have that warm, cozy feeling of knowing that you have that weapon and it's always there if you ever need it again. And we don't have that right now. It's a few weapons from year one that didn't have random rolls, and then everything else is locked out, and you don't really have access to it unless you happen to keep it. Even if you did, the power level constraints keep you from actually using it. So, do you guys have concerns that it's going to be something kind of like similar to what they're doing with the collection system? Because they don't have all of the same problems as the collection system. Like, they don't have to worry about armor being sunset, really, from my experience. They don't have to worry about like overpowered armor mods that I guess they are sunsetting some of them, right? Mods you can't use from previous seasons. But yeah, I don't know. My concern is that this might end up becoming an overly convoluted, or worse, a system that exists but isn't really useful, similar to the collection system, where it's there, but you can't really use it in the way that you would want to use it.
They did mention that, I think, briefly, where they're like, yeah, we got to talk about like what the deal is with armor in general. Because like now, if you can make anything look like anything, what are you really doing? You're just grinding for the exact same role for something that just got sunset with maybe a new slot like every year. And like, is that a good system? Like, no. Like, everyone will look better, I guess. But like, there is it becomes at a point where there's literally no point in really chasing armor if you have like one set of each elemental class, and then you can make those sets look like anything. So, and then, I mean, they made elemental class even not that important anymore. It's only for a few mods now, not guns. So I think that is a problem that they could run into, and it is like wholly different than the problems we see with guns. I think they've been kind of lost on armor for all of Destiny 2. I mean, think about when it launched. It was like literally just cosmetic at launch. And then they added some perks, and then they added some stats. And now we're in the current system with the mod slots and the whole thing. And like, it's definitely a lot better than it was. But then you introduce Transmog, and then it creates this whole thing again of like, all right, well, what's the point of having, people talk about vendor refreshes. What's the point of having 3 different vendor sets of armor like that, people earn once maybe to get the ornament and then never look at again? Like, is that worth the time and effort, or do they have to fundamentally change a lot of things about how the armor system works?
Yeah, that would be a real shame if like every season it was like, oh, just get any armor that's at the maximum power level and then just put on the transmog that you've had since 4 seasons ago, because it's like the best looking one. And then because it wasn't a great system, but my recollection of Destiny 1, everybody wearing the exact same armor the day before a new release, because we were all wanting to be at max power, and that was the only way to be, or at the time it was called light. The only way to be a max light was to wear like the Crota's End armor. Like, we all had the same sets on. And I feel like your armor can be a testament to your accomplishments in game if done correctly. And I feel like that's really what's missing now, because you can have raid armor, but I don't really see people walking around like rocking a raid set with pride. I think maybe that's changing now that we have mods that are specific to raids that can only be applied to that armor. But yeah, I have a lot of like worries about this system, and even though I don't really use like fashion as like it's not a huge part of why I play Destiny or what I'm focused on. It's still, I know, Paul, we're on the opposite end of the spectrum.
It's actually
here.
Really shameful, and I am just,
well, I mean, when your class item is a towel hanging off of your out of your pants, it's sort of hard to like care about fashion.
Show you. It's possible.
All right.
I'm a warlock dude. Somebody took a wristband and pulled it up here and said, yeah, that's the one. No,
it's fashionable, man. It's fashionable. All right. Well, I think that's all we had to talk about this week. For the community question in the comments, tell us what you would like to see in a transmog system, what you wouldn't like to see. Obviously, there's going to be lots of opinions about this once it deploys. So we've got 2 seasons to tell Bungie what we want them to do or what our opinions are. And so let's do some of that now. And Paul, where can people find you? Obviously, you're on Forbes writing 4 Destiny articles an hour.
Yeah, pretty much. Google me for my articles. I'm at Paul Tassi on Twitter, and I am on YouTube also.
Cool. Brian?
You can find me doing IGN stuff behind the scene all the time. This is the only time I'm ever putting my face forward. But I'm on Twitter, Brian X Bang. That's probably pretty much the only place you'll find me, really. Yeah. And
he's a ghost online.
Also, right here on Fireteam Chat.
Yes.
That's right. Fireteam Chat Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific. And I'm Ty Guy Travis. You can find me on Twitter at Ty Guy Travis. That's pretty much the main place that I do social media, and obviously on Fireteam Chat at 5 p.m. I think Destin will be back next week, and we will have more Destiny goodness for you to talk about. But until next time,
Guardians
out.
Close enough.
Close enough.